we're now live. Thank you very much for allowing me to have my first interview on Substack, and a very substantial interview that we're going to have.
Oh,
So,
is somebody else coming? Wait.
so we're here to talk about your book, Intrepid. And Intrepid asks one question 27 different ways. Do you care enough to commit? It's a short, pointed handbook for purpose driven people who know, there it is, who know they're capable of more and keep getting in their own way. Brilliant.
Indeed.
So, what does it mean to pick the problem, and why do most purpose driven people skip that step, Scott?
Uh, well, it's a great question. So you are absolutely correct that the book asks one fundamental question 27 different ways, but it asks it in a way, asks them in a specific sequence. Not because you have to go start at the beginning and work it through to the end. It's because we're all, as purpose driven people, and I would argue that as human beings, each one of us is a purpose driven person, whether we are conscious of that or not, or subconscious of that or unconscious of that. And so we're all at different points in the arc of that journey of trying to craft a life of meaning and significance and fulfillment. And so the very first stage, the first 9 questions are all around this idea of picking the problem. So I call this part consideration. Like, it's in an earlier book, of which Intrepid is the third of 3 parts. In Endeavor, I asked at the very beginning of the book for readers to consider, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be happy? And how do I be more of both? And these are just fundamental questions that human beings have been asking ever since we stopped dragging our knuckles across the savannah and stood upright and started to gather into clans and tribes and societies and civilizations. And so everybody is going to be navigating a different problem, and we have a choice. We can pick a big problem that's unsolvable, which is not a problem. It's actually a situation that's made up mostly of circumstances beyond our control. Or we can look at the circumstances that we're in, all the things that are beyond our control, all the things that are mostly entirely beyond our influence, and define a problem that we can solve if we choose to frame ourselves and our situation properly, choose to see all the possibilities for what we can do, and then decide and do what we need to do next to get clearer about and closer to what we actually want. And so that's the fundamental premise of pick the problem. Pick a problem that you can actually solve. And the book is all about becoming the kind of person that picks those problems day after day, month after month, year after year, to get clearer about and closer to what they really want in life, which is going to be some version of living a life of purpose, living a life of meaning, significance, letting your life speak through you, and living your legacy.
Thank you. Well, for me, listening to the audiobook always brings up something uncomfortable that I'm facing, but actually through the work that we've been doing on Voxer and the methodologies that you follow, things are starting to become a little bit clearer for me in being intrepid and being imperfect. But actually, what it did do for me is started to make me feel, working with you, happier in myself. Maybe six months ago, working on those uncomfortable things, I started singing again, and I probably hadn't been singing to myself for years. So just being able to have somebody help you become aware, and it's certainly every time you listen to Intrepid, you do stand to attention in something, and then you just go, right, let's take that small step, and just be where we are. So thank you for writing the book.
Oh,
So
well, I really appreciate that, and I wanna you're pointing to probably another one of the fundamental most important things about the book, because what you just described in our work together and how it has helped you get clearer about and closer to what you actually want, is you've been practicing something that is very hard for those of us that are kind of independent operators. I mean, we're all independent operators in our lives, but as someone that's building a business that funds and fits the lifestyle that you actually want to live, like we can't get clarity of the problem that we're trying to solve, or um, we can't craft a path to solving that problem until we articulate it out loud. And that's part of what our work is doing, is um, through a back and forth, through a collaborative creative conversation, a communication back and forth, not because I have any great insights or answers to life's big questions, but just because by continuing to hold up a mirror to you as you are trying to create a narrative around what's happening that makes sense, that you can actually start to navigate, you become clearer about and closer to the things that you want in life. And what I want to highlight here is my how inspiring and how just amazing it is that your willingness to lean into that, because I think probably a lot of folks that get the book and a lot of folks that are listening to this, they haven't even taken that first step of saying, I know that I was born to be and do more and better in my life,
mm,
but since I don't know what to do, I'm just not going to do anything. And the first thing that most of us need to do is we need to find a a scene of people who share
mm,
our values, who have, the uh, ability to serve as witnesses and guides to our journey. Maybe there's a mentor, coach, a corner man, a guide in that community that can help. That's obviously what I try to be in the circle and inner circle community. But none of that, none of the insights that I might have arrived at and am sharing matter at all if I'm talking to people that aren't willing to get comfortable with being uncomfortable
oh yes.
and acknowledge that the way out is through, and the only way to begin is to begin where you are with what you have and do what you can to get clearer and closer to what you want, and then work with the right people to craft that path and to start taking a daily step into possibility and your potential as a human being, and become the kind of person that can accomplish the kind of things that you want to accomplish. So, you're an extraordinary example of, the kind of people that I love to work with,
Mhm,
um,
thank you.
and and the kind of people that provide me with meaning and fulfillment, because you actually do the work.
Yeah, and that was part of the reason why I navigated myself to you, because I realized that I was doing a lot of work. I've built a lot of databases. I've built a big massive connection on LinkedIn, but I was just, and I'm able to talk to people, and I love talking to people, but I was not able to connect the dots. So um you've helped me connect the dots, but it has not been an easy journey. It's been hard to self correct, and correct with some guidance from you. It's been completely uncomfortable, to be fair. I mean, I will say last Friday, as much as we'd achieved some real great milestones, there was still some work for me to do, some thinking for me to do. And it's not you. You will say things in a really positive way, but they're not exactly easy steps to take. So I've never had a problem with being uncomfortable. I've always been uncomfortable, but I've been uncomfortable because I haven't been able to communicate effectively out of my uncomfortableness to a level where I posture. So what I was doing throughout my life, I'm 50 years of age, throughout my life was crashing back down
Mm.
to to that point where I wasn't picking myself up, and now I'm picking myself up, posturing, staying in that moment of uncomfortableness, like not reaching out to other people that I feel that I could be helpful to. Um, and it's been helpful to bring out, like, I feel close and aligned, and the people that I meet along my way, um I'm able to inspire just through having a better conversation to get them thinking. I'm not over the line yet, and I'm sure that we won't be as human beings. But it goes on to my next question. But thank you very much for everything that you've done and supported me with, and your compliments on the live. What's the most common way smart, capable people sabotage themselves before they even begin? Which I think I might have just hinted on the way that I've realised how I've been behaving, like crashing back down. And so yeah, what's your perspective, and do you, through your lifetime of coaching, have you seen some common themes?
Oh, yeah, it's a great question. Um, so, well, I've already said that we are all, unique, and we all have this, unique voice in our head that's narrating our experiences and trying to make sense of it all, and maybe falling into various narratives that may or may not be very good at promoting our health and happiness. Um, we also have all there's a lot of shared characteristics of what it means to be human. And so, when Anna just, she's joined us here. She's a member of our community that we connected through our mutual friend and mentor, Seth Godin. And in his book, This Is Strategy, he talks about fundamental drivers of being human as uh, being around status, affiliation, and freedom from fear.
Mm.
The and you know a lot of where I come from comes from my love and study of Stoic philosophy, of something I've been working with and through since I was in the seventh grade, which was a
Wow.
long. So and the Stoics say that fundamentally humans have two defining characteristics. They are inherently they possess the capacity for reason, for logic, rational thought, and they are fundamentally social creatures. Um, these things have been borne out by modern psychology, science, neuroscience, and if I weave those two things together,
Mm.
although we have the capacity to reason and we have the capacity for rational thought, we spend a lot of our time using our capacity for reason to rationalize and justify our unhealthy narratives about ourselves and what we're capable of, and to rationalize and justify our bad behavior, sometimes antisocial behavior. And we use our capacity, our drive for social connection and affiliation and belonging and identity to put ourselves in echo chambers where we just bolster these false beliefs and cognitive biases and so forth, um, by surrounding ourselves with people that agree with us and by throwing stones at people that don't agree with us. So when it comes to, how your question, how is it that smart, capable people get in their own way? um, if that sounds like you, congratulations, you're an actual human being. You're not a sociopath, you're not a narcissist, you're not a psychopath. You're a normal human being with the normal cognitive distortions, biases, false narratives, false beliefs, and dreams and desires that we all have. And so when it comes to helping people navigate the things that we all have to like, what you were saying earlier, like, it's you have these periods of growth, but then you fall back into old habits and old ways of thinking again. That's because we all have a default setting, and the tendency is to slip back into the groove that we've been digging in our thoughts and our perspective and our lives for years and years and years. It takes conscious, deliberate, focused effort to continue to move away from or move out of that default thinking and those default behaviors. Is it hard? Of course it is. Is it worth it? I think so. Um, and it's a lot easier, again, when you surround yourself with the right people and when you very judiciously and through a discipline and determination make sure that you don't abdicate or give up your agency, your authority, your power over your thoughts and actions to other people.
Mm,
Um, something that sometimes comes up with folks that I work with, and I think you and I have talked about this a little bit, is sometimes we're not surrounding ourselves with people in our day-to-day lives that understand or support the journey of growth and becoming that we are on. Uh, is that because they're bad people? No, they're people that are uncomfortable with seeing you change because they have put you in a silo, in a box, and that's how they understand you. That's how they justify their own perspectives and stuckness. And um, so, does that mean that you have to turn your back on your family, your siblings, your parents, your friends and neighbors? No. You just have to be disciplined about how much of your precious time, attention, effort, energy you're going to abdicate to people that may not fully understand what you're doing. Here's a little practical tip for
mhm,
those that find themselves spending more time than they would like with people that are not understanding or supporting their journey into becoming the kind of person they want to be. Invite them to come along. Say this to people all the time. If you talk about working with me or being a member of the circle or inner circle community at Creative on Purpose, and people say, well, that sounds weird, or uh, that sounds like a cult, or that sounds like not the kind of thing that I would want to do, invite them to come to one of our calls to actually
mm,
experience it. If they say no, well, then their decision is their decision. Now it's not you having to take responsibility for wanting to change, and you don't have to explain yourself. You extended an invitation, they refuse. Great. You go play your game. I'm going to go over here and play my game on my terms. And neither one of you have to compromise your beliefs or principles or anything else. Um, so, the decision, the fundamental answer to your question, like how do smart,
mm,
capable people get in their own way, I've just shared all the ways that we do that. But that doesn't, just because I can explain it, doesn't mean that that is your fate or destiny to remain someone that is stuck and lost and confused and hopeless. You can choose to see things as they really are and to reframe yourself, your situation, and your choices in a way that promote the possibility for stepping into better possibilities, stepping into your potential, and starting on this journey of becoming that, I'm sorry, will probably never end, because if you feel like you've accomplished everything you were meant to accomplish, you didn't really have very good goals to be.
Yeah. So on the circle, I found it. I've been reflecting actually on the circle, and I have missed it actually. I haven't been there for a few weeks. And what it helped me do was gauge with others, like you say, purpose driven people, and given me a skill of listening. So it was really helpful. I'm nowhere near being an expert listener, but it really did help me to almost like, you do the vagus nerve breathing
Mhm.
to settle your nervous system, because I was a very anxious, nervous person. um I think I'd thrived on anxiety, and just having that listening, the circle time, meeting those people that are there to listen as well, has been truly remarkable. And so much so that my friends, a couple of friends that I have, have said that they've noticed that I've gone round 180 degrees, and it's just been a breath of fresh air, because I've been searching for years for somewhere where I can start to thrive and be around a community of people. Never been one for working in a job. I've always had some sort of purpose, and through Intrepid, through the work that you do, I can't wait. And in fact, I am doing it already. But if I can help others make changes in their lives at a younger age, which is something, or any age, but the younger the better, right? Because if they can learn some resilient skills and some awareness, then they're going to be truly remarkable people and can have a ripple effect. So it's exciting times to be able to be part of. Um, so with Intrepid, what does Intrepid actually mean to you, Scott, and why that word for this book? Oh, I can't hear you.
That was my bad. My phone started ringing, so I went on mute there for a minute. Sorry about that. Just before I answer your question, I just wanted to acknowledge that in addition to Anna, Tanya, and Claire have joined, and they're also members of the community that you were just talking about. Um, and the to your question about Intrepid, so
Mm,
I have inserted this book, Intrepid: Dare to Make a Difference, uh, with the 27 questions that are reframe the one question: do you care enough to commit? In
mm,
between two other books. Those two books are Endeavor, which I referenced just a little bit ago, and Onward. Um, so if you look at Endeavor, Intrepid, and Onward, you can see that I am a fan of, even though you wouldn't know it to hear me talk, I love the concision of one word titles. And I love words that are maybe familiar, but words that aren't commonly used and don't and are not always commonly completely understood. When we think of Intrepid, most folks will be familiar with the word and think that it means courage in the face of adversity, maybe even something more like recklessness, like charging into the enemy lines, charging, going on an expedition through the frozen tundra to discover the North Pole or what have you. Intrepid actually does not mean simply recklessness, bravery, or bra- uh, or ignoring and charging towards the things that you fear. Intrepid is more closely aligned with the word resolute, meaning you understand and acknowledge fear and you take intentional action anyway.
Mm.
Uh, in one of my previous books, I said that fear is actually a compass. Fear helps
Mm.
point you in the right direction. Like when you're sitting on the couch deciding what to watch on TV, fear does not and anxiety don't arise and you think, oh my god, I'm not worthy, I don't know what to do, like there's too many, like you just scroll around until you pick something. Fear
Mm.
only comes up, anxiety only comes up when there are stakes involved. Now maybe those stakes are entirely of your own creation. You know,
Mm.
anxiety is usually has more to do with our attachment to desired outcomes than it has to do with anything really worth being afraid of. Um, so the book, one of the things that it's trying to accomplish is helping you be the kind of person that can ex- become aware of, acknowledge, and accept fear, and
Mm.
then be the kind of person that is disciplined enough to frame who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, and how you can get there with the greatest ease and velocity, despite the fact that there is anxiety, fear, maybe past regrets, maybe uh, getting unstuck. But Intrepid is it's just the posture of it's the posture that any advancing difference maker has to adopt. If you like, I think a lot of us understand, oh, I must have been born for some purpose. There must be something that I like. There's probably more to life than what I'm currently doing and who I'm currently being. But if you're going to become the kind of person that steps into the possibility and their potential, you're going to have some difficult conversations with yourself. You're going to have to do some things that make you uncomfortable. You're going to have to embrace uncertainty and act in ways that uh, open up possibility without destroying yourself in the process. And so that's what an
Mm.
intrepid person does. They resolve to become the thing by doing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Through our Voxer velocity relationship that we have, through working with you, there was quite a lot of fear going on in taking those steps, or find actually it took a while to find the thing as well. We worked through finding the thing, and then it just came naturally. But it was very helpful that we discussed the fear that was going on, and having that space to do that has been really great, for me to do, and to face the fear, and realize about fear. um the good guide, isn't is it the good guide you shared with me, that that really opened my eyes up to, just being appreciative of those moments, and then almost eradicating it, realizing that, okay, there's an uncomfortable thought there coming, it's totally normal, but right, let's get back into the ship imperfect, as the Intrepid book states, and go for it. Well, what's going to happen? You're not going to kill yourself, which I think is like what you say. You're not going to blow yourself up. So it's been, yeah. I just want to again reflect on that fear. Like, fear is seen as, some sort of problem, but actually, if you can start to realise that it's showing you a sign, then you're on the way.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a great way. I mean, again, fear, the arrival of fear, especially when it's in the form of anxiety about what's going to happen, probably not going to happen the way that you're thinking about it. It's a signal. It's a signal that you're pointed in a direction worth more exploration. So
Mm,
just it's all
mm,
about taking those small steps that are very low risk, but create greater clarity and help you earn confidence that you
mm.
can navigate difficult things without harming yourself or setting yourself back and becoming the kind of person you want to become.
Mm. A sneaky question here, but what's your intrepid direction that you're doing? Where are you facing the fear or doing something uncomfortable with all your 27 questions, or have you come up with something through the book? Did you resolve it through the book?
Actually, it's a great question, and it's an interesting one because of what has been happening with me for me over the last couple of weeks. So, writing the book has been a journey, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's not come without its fair share of challenges and stress. But this is not my first rodeo. I've written a lot of books, and when I say books, I'm being somewhat generous. They're all plus or minus 100 pages, so they're not. It's not like I'm writing War and Peace. Um, but one of the things that I have always loved is talking about big ideas and talking about fundamental human concerns around what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be happy? How do I be more of both? And in my evolution over the last 3 years on Substack, I have, although I started very broad and with those kind of fundamental questions, the the audience that I was attracting was more and more interested in kind of the business side of things. Like, how do I create a fulfilling business that fits and funds the life I actually want to lead? And how can I do that without becoming, without relying on the BS of digital marketers or online
Mm.
gurus that seem to have some sort of roadmap or blueprint that I need to adopt, even though it doesn't feel good. Um,
Yeah.
when and so the, Intrepid is a return to a more kind of foundational philosophical set of questions and less technical and strategic around business. Um,
Mm.
so when I took the book to my local bookstore and said, "Hey, would you like to carry this book?" They said, "Of course, we would love to carry your book. And by the way, we would love for you to come give a talk about and introduce our customers to the benefits of Stoic philosophy." And I got
Oh.
so excited about this idea because it's something that I've done many, many times.
Mm.
Um, During the pandemic, I wrote Onward as a repurposed look at the three disciplines of Stoicism to help people make better decisions and to navigate the uncertainty that we were all experiencing during that time. I got
Mm.
to present that hundreds of times over the course of the 2.5 years that we were all kind of locked down and navigating you know that global challenge.
Mm.
And I haven't really done that much since. And so one of the things that I spent all of last weekend thinking about was, you know, I love helping people
Mm.
build businesses that provide them with fulfillment and the practical needs of funding and fitting a life that they actually want to live. But I'm also ignoring this whole other side of the way that I think and what I love to teach. So I have kind of in the background and probably many people haven't noticed, but I've been doing some um, I've been doing a little positioning work, a little rebranding of what the Creative on Purpose Substack is, and the kind of things that I'm going to be talking about, in the near future. Um, and just to the things that we talked about. I mean, am I a little anxious? Well, yeah. I mean, if I have a certain reputation with a certain group of people around being the kind of person that can help you build a business that you want to build on your terms. Uh, the gurus and the digital marketers are telling us that we have to have a niche, and we have to niche our niche to the nichiest niche that we could possibly imagine. And am I going to possibly, lose some of that, or damage some of the reputation that I might have created for myself? And it's not, I'm not burning any bridges. I'm not burning down what I've done or what I'm doing, as I've done through many transitions in my life. I don't believe in reinvention. I have never reinvented myself. However,
Mm.
in my life, I have been a school teacher. I have been a radio personality. I have been a restaurant manager. I have been a musician. I have been a business owner. I have been a guitar teacher. I have I've been a coach in Seth Godin's programs, and I've become a corner man for the kind of people that I want to work with. Those aren't like reinventions. Those are just small pivots that I've made because my life is constantly speaking to me, because it wants to speak through me, and it's calling me to do something slightly different than I was doing before. But it's fundamentally, I'm still showing up as I am and doing things the way that I've always done them. I'm just doing it in a slightly different arena. So strategically,
Mm.
I am continuing to do the things that I've been doing with the people that have, blessed me with the privilege of working with them in this certain way. And I'm starting to create little experiments for, well, what happens if I were to talk about these other things that are maybe a little less tangible or practical,
Oh, nice.
pragmatic, and coming from a place of philosophy. Is
Mm.
it scary? Of course it is. Is it exciting? Of course it is. And so, that's fear and excitement show up exactly the same in the body.
Mm.
Your pupils dilate, your armpits sweat, your heartbeat
Yours
elevate,
might.
right? And uh, well, and you get to, but you can reframe how you feel by just, instead of saying I'm scared, saying I'm excited. I mean, again,
Mm.
I'm not concerned that I'm going to die just because I'm gonna put some feelers out to see if I can go in this new direction. I'm
Mm.
One of the things about intrepidness, one of the things about my work in general is, again, I want people to become the kind of person they want to become,
Mm.
and get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and embrace uncertainty and recognize the possibility within those moments, um, and and navigate all of that without risking burning yourself out or blowing yourself up, and understand that the game of life is a game, and games are meant to be played. And if you're playing a game, it's
Mm.
supposed to be fun. And if you're going to play a game, you might as well play your game on your terms without compromise, because playing someone else's game is not going to be fulfilling, and you can't win a game you don't want to play. So if you're playing someone else's game, you can't win. You're just helping them win their game. So
Mm.
that's the way I'm framing all of this, and kind of moving myself forward.
That's good. Well, I have heard Seth Godin mention that there would be a movement, the Perryism. I think in one of the interviews, he it was to do with the honey or the bee. I think he mentioned it in that.
Okay.
Um, Perryism, Stoicism. So it's interesting because we all see you, Scott, as the guy that we're all sort of buzzing round, and you're helping us transform, and actually to hear that there is some uncomfortable things that you're doing as well. Um, Maybe they're not seen as uncomfortable to us because you're doing them in those small steps that you advocate for us to be doing.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's really important. I just had a conversation with one of our community members, new community members, Chris, who's writing about some things that are uncomfortable because he's not got it all figured out. And but that's all of us all the time.
Mm,
And if you think that you have to have it all figured out and have it all perfectly plotted and blueprinted and built before you present anything, you're definitely not doing work that matters, and you're definitely, not doing anything that's going to provide you with a ton of fulfillment or significance. Human work is difficult work. If you are going to become the kind of person that you want to become, you will experience plenty of failure and plenty of heartbreak. And that is how we all grow. Like nobody grows, whether it's a plant pushing up through the ground or, uh, you know, animals in the wild or humans in the wild. You know,
mm,
we grow and develop and become stronger through resistance, through friction, through challenge. And so I think it's really important to just go in with our eyes open about
mm,
all that. And when I think about the power of gratitude and all the
mm,
abundance I've experienced in my life, yeah, I'm grateful for all of that. I'm also grateful for all the challenges that I've had to face because that has helped forge who I am, and
mm,
continued challenge will help me forge who I'm becoming. And I see this in you and our work together as well.
mm.
Um, so part of this becoming is becoming the kind of person, and I think I actually say this at one point in Intrepid in the conclusion is part of it is becoming the kind of person that when challenges arise, you say, awesome, bring it. I'm ready. Let's go.
Bring it on. Yeah, which is what I like about the football and sports side is that those challenges, go for it. Don't keep playing it safe because wonderful things happen from that. Um, I think something that's coming from my mind with your work, and I'm probably just making up something, but wouldn't it be wonderful that there's some sort of course instead of the um, mythology and things like that? There is a course to help people to become more aware of living that life. Because I tell you what, I was pretty much really uh, determined not to have a life when I get to 65. What job did I do? Why was I doing that job? Have I really lived my life? And then, you hear these stories of people at 65, then they've got no life. They've spent their life doing this job, and then they haven't really lived for the kids or the life that they were living. And I certainly didn't do that, but it wasn't easy. But the navigation of that, do we should be, if that's the right word, be aware of this a lot sooner in our lives rather than the school teaching us algebra, which I might use it at some point in my life.
Well, uh, this is a great place to wrap this up. I see my friend David McElroy is here, probably wondering what I'm doing a live because I'm going live with him in a few minutes.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I
but
always go on.
yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things and one of the reasons why I am really interested in pursuing more of these kind of open-ended, foundational, philosophical kind of conversations in person rather than and through a newsletter online
Hmm.
is that um, in the ancient world, where most of my philosophical ideas come from, Greek and Roman philosophy, Far Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, Taoism, Stoicism. Um, Philosophical conversations were just part of everybody's day-to-day life. I mean, it was something that people discussed in the agora, in the marketplace,
Mm.
in Athens. Um, and we don't do that, to your point, anymore. Like we we help people collect dots. Here's some, you have to learn how to do algebra just in case you have to use algebra someday. And you have to learn how to speak French because you might have to speak French. Like, this is ridiculous because if you gain all of these skills in things that you'll never that have no utility in your life, you're wasting time that could have been spent exploring what it is that I'm here for, what is it that I, which direction do I want to head right now. And to your point, there is a course. It's called Living. And yes,
Yeah.
you may not have woken up to the fact that you've been playing somebody else's game as early as you wished. I certainly didn't. But you have woken up to that. And so we're right on time, because the only time that there is the moment that we're in. The past is the past. You can't do anything about it. The future is a mystery. It will be defined largely by what we decide and do right now, and that will be defined by how we frame ourselves and our situation. So, again, I would say, yay. I figure, like, I'm aware, I'm acknowledging what's going on, and I have set my point on a new horizon, and I'm heading in that direction. Now I just need to find the people that will help me do that, and intrepidness, with or without my book, will come.
Thank you, Scott. So if someone finishes this conversation and wants to take one honest next step, what do you suggest?
Yeah, whether if you want to grab the book, it's there's plenty of links around Substack where you can do that. If you get the paperback, you get the ebook and the audiobook as part of the package, as well as a reader's guide that will help you work through the 27 questions. And I've written a book that is repurposing a lot of ideas that have been explored by ancient philosophical and spiritual traditions. And the fundamental step that anybody needs to take is to just make the decision to begin, because every day and every moment is a chance to begin and begin again. And so if you simply decide that you're going to start exploring who you really are, what you're really good at, and where you really belong, then the teachers and the fellow travelers and the direction will emerge. And the more disciplined and thoughtful and deliberate you are about leaning into all that, the easier it will be, and the greater velocity there will be, but also the greater joy, fellowship, and more fun that it will be. Again, it's called the game of life. Play it, have fun, and just realize that the journey is the reward. It's not about any outcome that you might be thinking about right now.
Magic. Well, thank you, Scott, for your time. It's always a pleasure. Have a
Likewise.
have a brilliant day, and thank you for everything that you do. You are, because you are perfect in every way.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Thank you, Alice. Really
Bye.
appreciate you.
Take care. Bye bye.